I'd like to welcome everybody this morning to the ICT Educator webinar series. I'm Steve Wright. I'm the statewide director of the ICT sector team of the Workforce and Economic Development Department in the California Community College system. That's a mouthful whenever you're at a cocktail party, believe me, which none of us do anymore. These webinars are brought to you by the entire ICT sector team, which includes a number of regional directors, many of whom you know, and they're all produced by Nicole Sherman. And our guest speakers volunteer their time for the sake of our students and your learning, and we're very appreciative of that. We have a number of webinars. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about this today. That's right, because it's coming up in January, the Winter ICT Educator Conference. We used to always go there at Cisco headquarters and enjoyed that one a lot. It's going to be virtual this time. Karen Stanton and Richard Grodgut put a lot of work into that. I hope you guys check it out and sign up to go. It's just really terrific. I used to go to the IT conferences, Interop in Vegas and stuff like that. And I always commented how 2 days up here at this convention as good as anything you get at Interop. On our website also, by the way, we have over 40 recorded webinars for our faculty that feature carefully selected experts and successful how-to techniques for your use. Each webinar is video recorded, edited, chapterized, and transcribed along with the PowerPoint presentations and relevant links for your later viewing and use, as will be the case with today's presentation as well. Should be available in about a week. We've had over 4,000 views to date, and it's really exciting to see how faculty like it. Coming up in the next few weeks, we're going to be looking at, I think we skip a week for Thanksgiving, and then we'll be going into Digital Nest, which is kind of an introductory get to college and ready for college and a little bit into college overlapping period, and a lot of digital skills, which not just digital media. And then we'll be looking at December 11th, the virtual lab update practice labs. We talk a lot about net labs around here. Practice labs is also in common use, and we want to give everybody an update on how those things are going. So today is going to be interesting. We have Joseph Janitor to speak to us from Cisco Academy. Cisco's been a longtime partner to the California Community College system with over 60 of our campuses, I believe, have academies. And Joseph is going to help us keep up with the transformations, the disruptions, and the training needs in ICT from software development to cloud. And I've looked through the presentation. I got to put my nerd hat on today and just really listen close. Okay, Joseph, up to you.
All right, thank you very much, Steve, and hello, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here with all of you. So my name is Joseph Janitor. I'm the product manager for emerging technologies courses at the Cisco Network Academy. And today I'm also joined with my colleague, Sarah Sharif, who is the CSR manager in the Network Academy for specifically your region. And in the next few minutes, we would like to give you an overview of the new software-centric offering in the Network Academy that is focusing on the programmable infrastructure with our new DevNet Associate course and the DevNet Associate certification. So let's jump right into it. And okay. So first, I would like to start with an example how the software is really eating the world and how it impacts the network and security. Then we will focus on how this change is really driving the transformation of the required jobs and how Cisco certifications have changed to address the market needs with the new DevNet track. The core of this presentation is then going to be focusing on the actual DevNet Associate course that brings those programmability skills to your students. We will demo the course features, some of the hands-on lab activities and the hands-on lab environment, which I think is going to be super exciting. And finally, at the end of the presentation, we are going to be referring to some additional resources that are available to you whenever you are teaching this course or starting or thinking about teaching this course. All right, so let's jump right into it. So the software is eating the world. So I was thinking how to, kind of like think about this statement, the software is eating the world from the infrastructure point of view. And I came out with this storyline. So in the past, we used to have a fairly simple traditional ICT infrastructure where devices, mainly computers, were connected to a network. And then the network has connected few applications that in most cases were running directly in your own data center on physical servers. So that used to be the traditional ICT infrastructure a few years back. In such an environment, the security used to be, I would say, pretty straightforward. The focus was on the perimeter security. Inside of the perimeter, you have all your trusted people. And then outside, normally behind the firewall, we have the separation of the outbound threats. So this was fairly simple. Now, how this changed with the cloud revolution? Well, this storyline has definitely changed because now the application can be hosted in different cloud environments. So when we are talking about cloud, it's not just one cloud, it's clouds, it's multiple clouds. For your applications, you can leverage some of the existing cloud-based software as a service offerings, or you can bring your applications into your own private cloud environment that you are maybe hosting in your data centers. Or perhaps you are maybe already at the stage where you are using hybrid multi-cloud environment where you have different applications hosting and operated on different clouds. And on top of that, we see that the application's architecture is also changing. The traditional former monolithic applications that were developed as one single code base with all the requirements packaged into one application is being transformed to a more modular approach and breaking down your application into multiple microservices. So it is easier to scale, it is easier to maintain in the future, and you can quickly in an agile way add new functionality. Also, if you look at the machine learning and AI world, this is becoming much more widespread with existing cloud-based offering that are able to offload the complexity of running a workload that is using AI tools. And finally, we also see the trend of serverless approach to deploy applications or application functions at scale, where you really do not have to think about the infrastructure anymore. You are thinking only about the application functions, and you don't care about the infrastructure, about the underlying infrastructure. And if you think about it, all of these cloud innovations have been enabled by a software-centric approach to server virtualization, where initially you had a single physical server per application. And now that single server has been broken down into multiple virtual machines, each hosting a specific application. And this evolution has continued, where today it culminated around the application containers with Docker, and then also orchestration tools such as Kubernetes and so on. But that's still not the current infrastructure, because today also the devices have changed. Today, the traditional desktop computer or laptop is just one of the many devices that are connected to the network and to your application here in your clouds. Actually, today, IoT is driving most of the new network connections. And these are supported by new technologies like 5G and Wi-Fi 6 and other low power wireless technologies. And this dramatic increase of IoT devices has been also enabled simply by the fact that now the cost of computing is so low that you can put that computing power into any device and anything. And that creates the Internet of Things. But then if you think about the Internet of Things, it's really about the software component. It's really about the software that is running on that computing thing that is connected to anything, to your car, to a refrigerator, and so on. And with that software piece, you can really bring innovation. So that if you think about buying a new electric car today, you will buy it maybe with certain functionality that comes with a software that is running on that car today. But then in the future, with a simple software upgrade, your car with the same hardware can have new functionality and serve maybe better their users. And in such a dynamic and agile environment, the security is also changing. And it's super important today. The original perimeter approach is not applicable anymore because we do not have a traditional perimeter anymore. We have multiple devices connecting to multiple clouds. And therefore, a new approach to security with a zero trust, end-to-end security is needed, where the permissions are based on the identity of the given user rather than the actual device that the user is using. And then you are also using machine learning and analytics to identify various malicious behavior that is going through your infrastructure. And that brings us to the remaining component that is really at the center of that infrastructure, the network itself. The network is facing its biggest transformation ever. It's being transformed from a traditional reactive infrastructure with a lot of manual changes to a much more proactive, policy-based automation approach to changes, up to the predictive intent-based network that is using machine learning and artificial intelligence to self-heal and self-optimize. And to get there, the network has also become programmable. And the network also has its APIs, application programming interfaces. So in a similar way, like developers today leverage APIs of an iPhone to create mobile apps, they can leverage APIs of the programmable infrastructure to automate existing processes and to develop new business innovations on top of the programmable infrastructure. And you might be asking, why is this important? Because this indicates also that the job roles where we would traditionally maybe do not expect software development skills, like system administrators, network operators, or cybersecurity professionals. Today, due to the scale and complexity of this new infrastructure, they really need to embrace the best practices from the software industry, like code versioning, automated code testing and deployment, use of APIs, and so on. And they need this so that they're able to scale to fit with the new business needs. And by leveraging that automation component, they can have finally time to work on new innovations. And the change in the skill set and the new job profiles brings us to the IT team of the future that we are defining as a combination of network engineers, cybersecurity professionals, and software developers. And here at this point, you might be asking, does it mean that every network engineer, security professional need to become a professional software developer? And the answer is no, absolutely not. However, today, they need to have basic coding competencies. This is a must today. They need to be able to understand the best practices from the software development world. And so in this picture, how do software developers fit here? Well, in the same way as the network engineer's core competency is still networking, understanding where security access control is applied in an inbound or an outbound direction, why a specific dynamic routing protocol is used in the given network. And in the same way, as a security professional's core competence is understanding how to mitigate threats, how to identify them, and so on. The software developer's core competency is to write production-ready code. The code that will be running 24/7, that will leverage best practices from the current software development methodologies, that will automatically recover from unexpected situations and exceptions. And at this moment, I could maybe even start by a joke saying that a network engineer, a security professional, and a software developer walk into a bar and they have nothing to talk about. And maybe that's not even a joke, because maybe it's actually the reality, because maybe really they do not understand each other. So how can we make sure that all three of them will speak the same language, will have the same interface and understand each other so they can really work as one team and support and help each other? And the answer for that question could be certifications. Based on our research, 90% of CEOs say their company is facing a disruptive change driven by these new digital technologies. At the same time, 70% of CEOs say their companies do not have the skills to really be able to adapt at this moment. However, 78% of them believe that technical certifications are the critical success factor for their success. And therefore, In Cisco, we are periodically working with our key partners to identify the skills that are needed on the real world jobs to succeed with digital transformation. And that is the reason why almost a year ago, we released a new version of our certification portfolio with new certification track for network engineers, cybersecurity professionals, and we have added a brand new track, the DevNet track that is focusing on software skills on top of the programmable infrastructure. And specifically, the DevNet Associate certification is the one that I truly believe will help us to build the bridge between the network engineers, cybersecurity professionals, and the software developers. Let's take a closer look at the DevNet Associate certification. You can see that most of the knowledge domains are actually focused around basic software skills, like understanding and using APIs, software development and design, application deployment and infrastructure and automation. Moreover, though, the DevNet Associate knowledge domains also cover the network fundamentals domain that enables DevNet certified people to have this interface to now talk technical with network engineers. And the DevNet Associate security domains of securely using APIs and securely deploying applications at the same time create an interface to talk technical with cybersecurity professionals. And from the other side, the network engineers and cybersecurity professionals who are DevNet certified, now they also have that interface to talk to software developers. And in this way, the DevNet Associate certification not only verifies these very important skills in today's job market, APIs and automation skills, but it also will serve as a bridge between the world of network engineers, cybersecurity professionals, and software developers. And with that, let me switch now with this presentation to the actual DevNet Associate course that is fully aligned with the DevNet Associate certification exam. And I hope it's going to be helping our students to get ready for the future job opportunities. So the DevNet Associate course from the Network Academy is our flagship offering in the programmable infrastructure space. The course equips students with foundational knowledge and skills in the 6 learning domains of software development and design, understanding and using APIs, Cisco platforms and development, application deployment and security, infrastructure and automation, and network fundamentals. And with these 6 domains, the course prepares students for the DevNet Associate certification exam, but also for the jobs that are requiring skills for automating the IT infrastructure. And as we have seen with the COVID-19 digital revolution, now every organization is looking for how they can be more agile, how they can implement innovations much faster, and that is through automation. The primary target audience of this course is college and university students. However, also vocational training centers that focus on existing software skills might benefit from this course. The course includes a beautiful online curriculum. I will demo it in a few slides later. We have assessments, hands-on lab activities. And for the hands-on lab activities, we have been really focusing on how we can enable remote teaching possibilities at the current time of the year. And we have packaged all the tools that the students will need to go through the hands-on experience in a form of virtual machines so that they have a very seamless and easy to access experience to the hands-on activities. And we are also including a special version of our network simulation tool, Packet Tracer, that has been extended with software-defined network capabilities. So right in the tool, the students can play with an SDN network, a software-defined network in this simulated environment. The course itself is designed to be instructor-led, so we still rely on you, the teachers that are in the classroom and are able to motivate the students. The estimated time to complete this course is about 70 hours. And the students that are coming to this course should be coming with prior knowledge with writing code in any object-oriented programming language. So it can be C#, Java, but preferably Python. And then they also need to have foundational knowledge of networking. So be able to, understand things like IP address, what is a switch, what is a router, and so on. After successfully completing this course, the students will also receive a verified digital learning badge that they can share over various social media channels, but also employers can use this digital badge to verify that the students have completed the given course. And at the same time, the students will also receive a certification discount voucher so that they can attempt the DevNet Associate certification exam and hopefully become also DevNet Associate certified. And with that, let me quickly jump into the actual course demo so that you will see the Network Academy learning environment and the DevNet Associate course. So for that, let me bring up this virtual machine. I will be demoing the course features in the virtual machine that normally the students are using while they are accessing the hands-on activities for this course. So this is a full-blown virtual machine with all the software tools they will need. So we also have a web browser right in here. And traditionally, when you log into the Network Academy Learning Management System, you end up like on a page like this. From here, you can enroll your students into a course and so on. And once you have enrolled your students into a course, you can launch the course. So if I click here, launch the course, I will end up on the course homepage. And from here, you and your students have access to the actual course itself, to the 8 modules of the given course. And you as an instructor, you have the possibility to activate for your students the additional exams that you can use to verify that your students have gone through the course and have learned the skills and the knowledge that, that is needed. So you have an option to activate a practice final exam. You have the official final exam, and the students also have access to a certification practice exam. So before they will actually attempt the DevNet Associate certification exam, just to make sure that they are really ready and there is a huge chance that they will pass the certification exam, here is a practice certification exam that they can take that really kind of like resembles what they will see on the real certification exam. And then for each module, you also have an option to activate for your students the given module exam, so that you as an instructor, you can keep track of how your students are doing, which modules maybe you need to spend more time with them, or which module you need to maybe repeat some of the activities with them. So let me start with the course introduction. So we will launch our online curriculum. That is this beautiful, responsive HTML5 page curriculum where you have the 8 modules of the course with navigation here on the left side, and then the course content here on the right side. What I would like to point out here is that in the course introduction, the students are really just going to get this introduction. What is this DevNet Associate course about? But this is also the place where they will set up their lab environment and to indicate to you how the actual lab activities look like. The lab activities are directly embedded into the online curriculum. So for example, here's the lab, how to install the virtual machines-based environment. If the students click on the view this lab activity, then they will see here a PDF version with a step-by-step guide for them how to conclude and how to finish this given lab activity. And for all the additional lab activities in the course, the structure is very similar. Now, we also have a quick Linux and Python crash course built in right into the course introduction, so that those students that are coming with object-oriented programming skills, but it's not Python that is the language that we are primarily using in this course, they can just take this quick Python crash course, learn about the nuances and how to write Python code. And then they also have an option to go through a quiz to verify the skills they have acquired by going through this module. And finally, through the lab activity and then the quiz. one last activity or one last component that I would like to highlight in the DevNet Associate course is that we've tried to make sure that this course will be super exciting for the students. And while the students will be going through the course, they will not necessarily only learn the hard skills of using code, using APIs, and so on. But we are going to expose, or we are going to have an opportunity to expose the students also to soft skills to make sure that they are more employable when they're entering the job market. And that is by working on DevNet Associate project activities. We designed these DevNet Associate project activities in a way that they try to simulate a real world-like environment when they enter a job market. So the students need to create small teams, work as a team on these projects. They're asked to create a small agile team and follow the software development best practices while they are working on code, and so on and so on. And all this is also getting documented. So for each of these project activities with the students also have a rubric that they can share then with you, with the instructor, so that you as an instructor, you know what the students are actually working on. And this can be super exciting also for the instructors, because I know that many of the students might be super excited about learning how to automate an IT infrastructure and can come out with very interesting projects as their team. And just learning about how the students have been thinking about how to automate the infrastructure, what approach they have used, what different tools they have used, I think it's going to be also helpful for the instructors. So next year when you are teaching this course, you can rely on the best practices and knowledge the students have shared from their experience. All right, so that is just a quick demo of the course. And now let me quickly just recap those 8 modules that we have in the DevNet Associate course, like what those courses are really focusing on. So the first module, the course introduction, is really there to set the expectations and to create the excitement to really jump straight into these topics that are really hot on today's job market: automation, APIs, coding, and so on and so on. The second module is where they will learn about the DevNet developer environment. This will introduce the students to all the different Cisco resources in Cisco DevNet, including remote sandboxes, code and automation exchange, learning labs, and so on. So if they feel, yes, I'm super excited about the programmable infrastructure and this domain, they have also referenced those additional resources that they can freely use to learn more. The third module, the software development and design, is where the students are going to learn those best practices from the software development world. They will learn about the design patterns with writing software. They will learn about code version control using Git. They will create a GitHub profile, which again can be super helpful when they are looking for a job and they can reference, hey, these are the activities, these are the coding projects that we have been working while we were studying. They will learn about coding with Python. Then they will learn about data formats in JSON, XML, and YAML. And all of these things will essentially set all the necessary foundational skills so that later on, as they are progressing throughout the course, they can take their remaining hands-on activities. And that brings us to the module 4, that is understanding and using APIs. And as the name says, this is really about application programming interfaces. Here, the students will learn how to collect data, control, and interconnect applications using APIs. And here they will also learn about a very important aspect of APIs. So how to securely actually use those APIs. So whenever you are thinking about automating an infrastructure, you're also thinking about the security considerations. Then we have module 5, that is the network fundamentals. It's really just a refresh of networking skills. But here the students will also learn very important aspects of when you are deploying applications, how it's actually relating to the network. What are those load balancers? How you can scale up your application so that if you are getting a load of hundred thousands of users at the same time, how can you make sure that your application will handle that load? Then the 6th module, application deployment and security. This is where the students will learn about how to deploy applications on the traditional old bare metal, but also virtualized and cloud environments. They will learn about application containers using Docker, and they will actually also build their own continuous integration, continuous deployment, the so-called CI/CD pipeline in the application deployment context, where they will write a small web server, a web application, and they will build a Jenkins pipeline. And this is usually one piece that the students are super excited about. And of course, as we have been mentioning, security is really important. So we are also focusing here on the security consideration whenever we are deploying applications. Then you have the application infrastructure, you have the 7th module, that is the infrastructure and automation. And as the name says, it is really going to be about automating the infrastructure where you're running applications. So here the students will learn how to transform that old management of systems by having some to-do or some text-based guides, how to set up an infrastructure, how to set up an application, how to install the web server database, and so on and so on and so on, written in like human readable form. How to transfer that experience more into like an infrastructure as a code, so that you have all those steps written in a code, in a formal code, that you can then execute whenever you need to rebuild the infrastructure, but also whenever you need to scale your infrastructure to be able to handle the new load. And then the last module is the Cisco platforms and development. And this brings the light into the different Cisco solutions and their APIs. Here, the students will learn really how to use these real-world enterprise solutions and how to automate existing processes, help with troubleshooting issues, integrate systems together, and how to build new applications on top of the programmable infrastructure, and that way create a new business value. Now I would like to jump to the next part of the course, that is the lab environment. The lab environment, as I already mentioned, here was designed in a way so that even in the current situation where many of us are remotely teaching our students, the students will be still able to get the hands-on experience. So the entire lab environment for the DevNet Associate course is based on 2 virtual machines. The first one, the DevOps Club VM, bundles all the software tools they will need in this course. It comes with Python in the given version they need in the course. It comes with Visual Studio Code as the best IDE to write code today, Postman, and all the required Python modules, and so on and so on. And with this approach, there is no need to set up or install or configure anything on the student's machine. They will simply just download this virtual machine, import it into the VirtualBox environment or VMware or whatever virtualization software they are using, and they are ready to take the hands-on lab activities. And the cool thing about this approach is that if anything breaks, well, because students are usually creative in breaking things, if anything breaks, simply they will just re-download the virtual machine or will just recover it from the previous snapshot that they might have created. And at the same time, it gives you the flexibility that all the students in your classroom are having the same consistent learning experience. So this is, I think, a very helpful approach for the lab activities. By the way, this virtual machine, as I mentioned, also comes with this package tracer build for network automation. It adds this SDN control capabilities, and later on I will demo some of these features for you. The second virtual machine is a virtual machine that brings a real-world Cisco router directly to the computer of your students, the Cisco CSR 1000V, that is coming with the iOS XE operating system. And this is the same router or the same operating system that is running on our real-world physical routers that you can find in many enterprise environments. And there's the same operating system and the same router that is actually running also in cloud-based environments in Amazon AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google GCP, and other environments. So I think it is also a very exciting part for the students so that they're able to get hands-on experience with a real-world router directly on their laptop. And that brings us to the next demo part, that is the labs demo. So let me go back to the virtual machine. There we go. So I think I can close this tab, I can close this tab and this tab. So let me give you an example of how some of the lab activities look like. So for example, here in module 4, understanding and using APIs, let's try to find a lab activity. So for that, I can actually use the course index, and I can just select that I want to see only the lab activities. From here, I'm interested only in the lab activities that are here. And let's take a look at how the lab activity explorers APIs with the API simulator and Postman look like. Okay, so this is the set of instructions that normally your students will see. It is traditionally a step-by-step set of instructions so that your students will learn all those hands-on skills simply by following the set of instructions. The goal of, for example, this lab activity is that your students get familiar with RESTful APIs. That is really the interface that every system is using today to integrate with applications and to provide automation capabilities. So this is super helpful for the students to learn these skills. Now, to make sure that we also facilitate this learning experience and we don't rely necessarily on third-party services that are exposing REST APIs, we have actually built into this virtual machine an API simulator that simulates a school library. So this web page that you are seeing here, the library demo.local, it's running directly in the virtual machine. And it simulates the school library that has some books, but it also has some APIs. So it is a very modern library, I would say, that has APIs. And if you look at the API documentation, this is again the API documentation that students will see whenever they will try to interface with other IT systems. So many of those IT systems are using a very similar lookalike for documenting the APIs. And directly from this interface, they can not only learn about the different API calls, but they can actually also try them out. And they can play with this interface and see what are the different parameters, how to fine tune them, what are the optional and what are the mandatory fields, how the actual response looks like, and so on and so on. And the way how we are teaching this experience to the students is that first we are asking them to go through the API documentation. So to go through this page and get familiar with what are the capabilities of these APIs. And then in the second step, we are asking them to use a graphical tool to interact with these APIs. That can be Postman. And then finally, in the third step, we are actually asking them to write Python code to interact with these APIs. So you can see how we are scaffolding that learning experience where we are adding always a little bit of more complexity or a little bit of more powerful tools. And with these powerful tools, they can actually do much more. And finally, we are ending up with an example where they're using Python code. And with that, they have the flexibility to implement any type of automation they are thinking of. So this is just an example of the built-in API simulator. What I would like to also demonstrate to you is the SDN capabilities in Packet Tracer. So whenever we were thinking about automating a network infrastructure, and we are thinking about how we can design a lab activity that includes multiple network devices, various types, and devices, and so on, we had the challenge of how to build such an infrastructure. And with Packet Tracer and with the simulating capabilities, we have this option to build here large-scale infrastructures that are simulated directly in this tool. And what we have added into this new version of Packet Tracer is a capability of an SDN controller, a software-defined network controller. The students can actually access that software-defined controller directly from within Packet Tracer by using, for example, one of the host machines, and from here entering the IP address of the controller, which is this one. And this simulates a real-world-like SDN controller that requires a username and a password to log in. And after that, they will see a traditional dashboard they will see with SDN controllers, either from Cisco or from different vendors. From here, they can create or add new devices that are supposed to be managed by the network controller. But the most important part is that this network controller also comes with APIs. Because today, any new system, any new device, any new network component comes with with APIs. So from here, the students can learn how to leverage these APIs and how to implement the same procedures that they would normally implement over the web interface of the SDN controller, now using some kind of automation. And the way we are doing it again is first the API documentation, then we are asking them to use this Postman tool to simulate the APIs. And the cool thing here is that they can use real-world tools like Postman or real-world Python or other tools to interact with the SDN capabilities directly in Packet Tracer. And then finally, the last component is we are asking them to write that code in Python. And as I already mentioned, we are using Visual Studio Code as an integrated development environment to help the students with writing the Python code, because the IDE comes with code highlighting. It identifies whenever you are doing a typo and so on and so on. And it's so much easier then to write and test code in this way. So for example, the code example that I'm presenting here will use an API call to the SDN controller to receive a so-called service ticket. And then later on, the students follow up with this, with the additional components, with the additional code, and they are building an automation of the network operations directly in Python code. So this is just a quick demonstration of the lab activities and kind of like the thought process that we have behind them. So how we are trying to scaffold that experience to make sure that the students start with something that is easy for them to use. And then on top of that existing experience, we're always adding something that is maybe more closer to the real world environment. Regarding the instructor training for this course. So if this course seems to be exciting for you, we have various instructor training options. So with the DevNet Associate, we are using this two-pronged approach where for new instructors to the domain of network automation or in general the programmable infrastructure, we have existing instructor training centers with qualified instructor trainers to deliver you value-added course training. So usually during this experience, we are getting tips and tricks how to teach the course. You are getting information how or what are the modules that usually students are struggling with, and so on and so on. So for new instructors, I definitely recommend this path. And then for those instructors who might be already familiar with the DevNet concepts, already familiar with the programmable infrastructure, they also have an option to take the self-paced training only course. So they're able to go through all the 8 modules, take all the assessments that are there, take all the hands-on lab activities, and so on and so on. And then once they feel that they are ready, they will either reach out again an instructor training center where they will get a proctored final exam session, and we will pass it, they can teach the course, or they will become DevNet Associate certified. So I think with this kind of like flexible approach to instructor training and the actual accreditation to teach the course, I think there are really no barriers for anybody who is interested in adopting this course at their institutions. And to make sure that we are simplifying your adoption and to make sure that we are simplifying also your life while you are trying to teach this course to your students, we also have additional course resources. So among those course resources, we have the scope and sequence document that is usually the first document that you are looking for when you are considering the DevNet Associate course or you would like to learn more information about this. So this will tell you the information about the course, the length, the requirements, what are the learning outcomes, and so on and so on and so on. Then we have the traditional release notes. But the most important part that might be interesting for you is the instructor planning guides that are essentially instructor PowerPoints. So for all the 8 modules of the course, we already have pre-built instructor PowerPoints for you that are beautiful slides, and you can use them while you are teaching this course to your students. We also have the lab files that are being used in the course in the student version that students are normally accessing. So the PDF files that I was demonstrating that are directly embedded in the curriculum, those are for students. But then we also have the instructor version of those lab files, so that whenever there is a question for the students, hey, this is a challenge activity for you, try to solve it. For you as an instructor, you have some additional notes. So then if your students are stuck or they don't know how to continue with that challenge activity, they can come back to you, and then you have this reference in the instructor lab guides. The most important, or the next important aspect the additional resources, I believe, is also the course and the virtual machine FAQs. So what we are traditionally doing in the Network Academy, whenever we are getting any questions from you, from the teachers, from students, or from anybody else, we are trying to really build up these FAQs to make sure that we can simplify your life whenever you're looking for an answer, whenever you are stuck with something, or whenever something is not working. So for example, for the virtual machines, if you're interested, how much RAM do I need? Can I run both virtual machines at the same time? What virtualization platforms are available? If something is not working, how can I troubleshoot, and so on and so on. All of these procedures are documented in the virtual machine FAQs. So these are directly the course resources that are available for you. But as I said in the beginning, the DevNet Associate course is expecting that the students are coming with some prior knowledge in programming and with networking basics. And therefore, I would like to also reference to you some of the other Network Academy courses that we have in our portfolio that are also available in a self-paced mode. The DevNet Associate course is only instructor-led, so you must be teaching this course to your students. But we have also other courses that you can also open to your students and ask them to run through this course in a self-paced mode. So one of those courses is Programming Essentials in Python. And this is a course where you need about 60 to 70 hours to go through it in a self-paced mode. It's very interactive, and the students are going to learn here about Python coding. And at the bottom of the slides, you can actually see the self-enroll link. You will have later on access to this slide, so I guess you do not need to remember it. But once you click on that link, you are actually going to be enrolled into the class, and you can create the same experience also for your students to build up the Python skills. The next course that I wanted to also refer to is the NDG Linux Essentials course. It is really about Linux essentials, so the basic skills, because the virtual machine and all the environment in the programmable infrastructure space is heavily relying on Linux environment. So the students need to have that basic Linux, or I would say the command line vocabulary that they can learn, for example, in this course. Again, the self-paced enroll link is at the bottom of the slide. And last but not least, I would like to also refer to our brand new course that we have released just 3 weeks ago, the Networking Essentials 2.0. This is a wonderful new course. It's about 70 hours to complete the entire course, but this will give you really these foundational skills that you need whenever you would like to do anything with networking or anything networking related. And again, the self-enroll link is at the bottom of the slide. And while I was presenting today the DevNet Associate course and these 3 additional courses that are available as a self-paced, in the Network Academy, we really have a portfolio of other courses that most of them are aligned with various certifications. And whenever you are looking for a new course, you would like to start to teach a course about the cybersecurity, networking, or the programmable infrastructure, well, I think you will find a course in our portfolio that is a great fit for you. And all of these courses are available to all the Network Academies for free. And with that, I will close my part of the presentation. And I do hope that this was helpful for you. And I'm really looking forward to build the IT team of the future with your help and with the help of your graduates. Thank you very much, and I will pass it over to Sarah. Sarah, over to you.
Yes, Sarah, did you have some, yeah, you want to share something here?
Yeah, so I just wanted to let everybody know that if you're not currently a Cisco Academy and you're interested, you can apply to become a Cisco Academy. I also put that link into the chat. And then if you have any additional questions, we've built out what we call the educator page, which is what you're seeing a screenshot on the right side of the slide. It has program overview, there's course demos in there, there's scope and sequence documents in there. And then of course, if you have any additional questions, of course, reach out to me and I'm happy to help with anything. And then it looks like we answered all of the questions in chat. So I think we're good there unless anybody has any additional questions they'd like to ask Joseph.
Well, I have a couple, and it has to do with the fact that, I mean, first off, thank you very much. This is incredible. You know, I think we've all heard the phrase "drinking from the fire hose," probably one too many times, but I'm worn out. Thank you, Joseph. And it's impressive to know the tremendous amount of resources that Cisco brings to us and shares, because this is a whole new technology, a whole new world. And most of us are sitting here looking at the world going, oh my gosh, what happened? And to actually have a pathway like this identified with all the tools and techniques built in and the faculty support and everything else is just, I mean, it's a phenomenal service. And what we need to do, and this is really, I'm going to ask my colleague Richard Grotegut to speak in a second here, that what we need to do is understand, and Richard's been doing this for years, Karen Stanton's on board as well, but how do we take this new course, and I'm asking kind of like a layman, Richard's more experienced than I am, and integrate it into the California Community College system? I mean, I can't imagine that every single college is going to be able to offer it. Some will, some won't. I've seen some interesting questions in the chat about what kind of labs can handle it, and whether anything dealing with programming would be a departmental war with the computer science people. And I think, Richard, you had a good answer to that. It says, call it scripting, you know. But so anyhow, Richard, would you mind commenting a bit on how digestible this is into our current system?
So sure, Steve, can you guys hear me okay?
A little echo, but you're good.
Yeah, sorry, I'm away from my office. Yeah, I think we can make it work. I mean, it's a change. I mean, it means we have to adjust our existing courses and incorporate it. It's a little bit of work, but I'm kind of counting on it. I'm actually enrolled in 2 of the training sessions, and I do teach networking, and I know that's changing, so I'm going to try to fit that in, absolutely. And Joseph, great presentation, by the way. We do have some training offered through WASTC. I have a couple slides that I sent to Nicole, and so this is through the WASTC, and Karen Stanton has done a great job of putting this together with our trainers. So we have the DevNet Associate training planned for March, but before that, because instructors like myself without a strong software background, I'm going to be taking a little DevNet prep workshop that touches upon some of the things that Joseph mentioned, you know, Linux, Python, those kinds of things ahead of time. We're offering both of these for free. You can go to our website and get the details. Karen is on the call too. She's on the phone, so I don't know if she can add a little bit to, there's our link. You can just go to that site. You can connect with Karen, and hey, hope you will join me in taking the little DevNet prep workshop and then the DevNet Associate. It's obviously the future, and I think the timing is perfect. If you do the training now, I think more than anything, Steve, to answer your question about how do we get this into our curriculum and our catalogs at the colleges, to have faculty that are committed, and if they're trained and understand it, they can push it. You know, all of our courses is faculty driven, so curriculum is owned by faculty, and we're the ones that can help push that through.
Well, and that's a curious question. I mean, we have a wonderful attendance here, and we normally have a number of people follow up afterwards. I just rely on the goodwill of the faculty to learn what they need to learn in order to, you know, teach the future. And is there anything else, Richard or Joseph or Sarah, that you have seen that help a faculty feel engaged and involved, and that we can do to support faculty? Because it's a heavy lift to keep retraining yourself on the future.
Well, I'd like to chime in on that subject real quick. This is Donnie Willis, North Central Texas College. One of the things that I brought up is with community colleges having a limit of 60 hours to get all the coursework or a degree plan done, the best way for this to be introduced would be to spread it out over different courses. So you have to take modules and modules. Excuse me?
I just think that one popped out of nowhere. Keep going.
Oh, you'd have to take, you know, modules, pieces of modules, and spread it out over your various courses. That way you could fit it all in while developing maybe a new curriculum for that so that then you could have a, have this developed into maybe a cloud or some other type of networking or cybersecurity or programming, because it spreads out over all of those.
Yep.
So you take it now, sprinkle it out up throughout the entire curriculum, and then as you develop your main course, you'll have time to teach this stuff, and then everybody will get a chance to own it.
That's an excellent suggestion. The thing I find in my role is that a lot of wonderful ideas and opportunities come along for our colleges, but then we have to figure out how to integrate them into our, whatever it is, our schedule, our approval process,
Right.
number of classes, number of units, and that is takes a little magic sometimes.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And that's one of the things while you're in the pursuit of getting the approval, you still want to make sure that you're on the leading edge. So you still have to try to integrate it into what you are presently teaching until it's approved.
Okay. I appreciate that, Donnie. Richard?
Yeah, no, that's a great tip, Donnie. And we're at the mercy of the same 60 unit, requirement. However, here, I don't know if it's true where you're at, but here in California, our community colleges, we're sort of responsible for all the reskilling that has to take place. So we have so many students that have degrees already, especially in the Bay Area. We have a lot of that. They have bachelor's, master's degrees. They're coming in to learn new skills, and they want to take one or two courses quickly. So there's room for many different models, I think, to be able to do this. So we're on that.
Yeah, we have that too. The best way I think to do that is probably make this a certificate or something like that, maybe a 2-semester course that you throw in as a certificate.
Got it.
Yeah, it always baffles me how different each and every college is, and the solutions to problems like this are very unique based on the colleges. So that's our position here, is to share the opportunity and let people start walking in that direction. And then at some point in time, if there's some best practices, things that really work well, then we certainly want to share those also.
Yeah, and a great help with that is the Cisco Academy program and other industry partners that help us with the curriculum and keep us sharp, because it's hard enough for our faculty to stay on top of the technology, and to have to create curriculum and create labs it's an impossibility. So we are so happy to have Cisco as a partner. This is my 23rd year, I think, now with the Academy program. So, want to keep going, looking for 25.
Right, and on that, we'll wrap it up. And Joseph and Sarah, thank you so much for your presentation today, and Richard for your comments as well. And by the way, if anybody wants to know what's going on in ICT, we have archives of over 40 different webinars we've done now, and we have some Cisco stuff in there and other industry partners, and this is where you learn we're trying to create a legacy of very valuable information for all the colleges. Once again, Joseph and Sarah, thank you very much. Sarah, we talked about maybe something in the future about the talent, what's that called? The talent bridge?
Talent bridge.
Yes, Talent Bridge.
Yeah, maybe we'll just,
and that's specific to the matching engine and a whole bunch of other programs that we have to get students into careers, whether they're entry level or career changers.
right, because getting trained is the first half, second half's getting that job. Okay, perfect.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. All right, well, thank you all very much, and have a nice Thanksgiving holiday, and we'll be back the Friday after that. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Everyone.